In my last video, we looked at some new Etsy shops that are making a killing selling PNG designs. Today, I'm going to show you how you can make your own designs to sell on the platform using the AI features on one of my favorite design tools, Kittl. Let's jump in. Okay, so here we are in Kittl, and if you haven't used Kittl before, it's a really amazing online design resource. I use it pretty much every day, as well as Canva. So if you're interested in checking it out, there is a link in my description below. So the first thing I've done here is I've created a new project, and then I'm going to choose our settings. I'm going to change our DPI to be 300 because we want a nice high quality file to sell to our customers. And then I'm going to change the dimensions to be 4500 by 5000 pixels, which is a nice standard size to sell PNG designs at. And then I'm going to hit create. So here we are in the design interface, and the first thing I'm going to do here is come over to the menu on the left hand side and click on Kittl AI. That brings up our AI menu. And if you click on the drop down menu here, you can see there are a few different types of AI to choose from. It's fun to kind of go through and see what each one offers. But the one I generally use the most is called DALL-E 3, which takes 20 tokens per use. It used to be 2 credits and now it's 20 tokens. It has the same value, just Kittl has switched from calling them credits to tokens. We won't get into that. But the next thing you would do here is type in your image description in this box here, and you would click on this button here next to choose a style of image. And for making PNGs or SVGs, I generally use vector styles or clip art styles. So that's how you choose those. And then you can choose the dimensions. You could do 1:1, 16:9, or 9:16, depending on the dimension you want to create. And the other thing you can do is hit the Explore menu here, and that brings up images that other people have already generated using these AI tools. And you can search using the clip art section, you can search image section, or the vector section for different types of images that people have generated. And again, for making PNGs or SVGs, I generally use the clip art or the vector. And let's just have a quick scroll through so you can see the types of images that people have made in the clip art category. And for today's video, we're going to be focusing on spooky season, Halloween, fall, autumn themed images. And there's a few I can see here that already kind of fit that. I'm wanting to make today something a little bit more like rustic or watercolory, sort of like these images here. But there was one up at the top here that definitely caught my eye, which is this one here of this kind of haunted house. So I'm going to click on that. And what that does is it brings up the prompt that someone used to make this image. I'll just click on more so you can see the whole thing here. It lets you know that prompt, it lets you know the AI model that was used, and it lets you know the style that was used. In this case, it's detailed drawing. Now, if I was making, say, a print-on-demand product right now, like a t-shirt or a tote bag, I could potentially use this exact image and maybe add some text or other elements to it to make it a bit more my own. But if we are making PNGs or SVGs to sell, we can't use images from the library directly because they belong to Kittl. We are, however, allowed to generate our own AI images and sell those. So how we can do this using this image as an inspiration is we can click on recreate here. So I'm going to do that. And what that does is it populates the description box with that prompt that was used to make that really cool image. And then it also has designated DALL-E 3 as our AI model, and it's added the detailed drawing as our style. So then what I want to do is, I really like the look and feel of that image, but I want to create a different image that fits a particular theme that I want to go after today, which is a ghost reading a book. So I'm just going to type in that prompt, and then we'll see what Kittl comes up with for that. Okay, so here's the prompt I came up with. I kept some of the same verbiage from the original prompt. Whimsical watercolor illustration of a ghost reading a book. Pumpkins in foreground, soft purple mist, warm lanterns glowing, fantasy Halloween style, white background. So now I'm just going to click generate image and see what Kittl comes up with. Okay, so this is our image. Let's bring the size up here a little bit so we can get a better look at that. And I think that's really quite cute. The first thing I want to do is remove the background. So I'm going to come over here because this is actually, what I'll do actually first to show you more clearly is I'm coming over to the layers menu here, clicking on our artboard and then clicking on the eye icon on the background layer. And so that makes it more clear that this isn't actually not a transparent background image as of yet, but we can easily fix that by hitting remove background. So I'm going to do that. And let's see here. Now it looks like it's a little bit cut off on the side here, which I don't like. I want something to be kind of perfectly isolated, and it has a little bit of that on this side as well. So I'm not entirely happy with that. So I think what I'll do is I'll come back to our AI menu, and then maybe I'm going to remove, actually I'll get rid of the lanterns glowing part of the prompt here, just to simplify things a little bit. And then I'm going to hit generate image again and see what Kittl comes up with. Okay, let's have a look at this new image. I'm going to size this up. Ooh, and I quite like this one actually. And I'm going to hit remove background. And zoom in a little bit. And yeah, I think that looks great. It's kind of strange having the pumpkins sort of floating in the sky, but it almost makes it kind of more mystical and fun in a way, almost as if he's reading about pumpkins and they're kind of flying out of the book, so to speak. So I quite like that one. I think it's pretty cute. And what I'm going to do next is add some text to this. So to do that, I'm going to come over to the menu on the left and click text, and then click add headline. And it's added a headline here, and I'm just going to size this up. And then I'm going to type in spooky reading, and then I'm going to drag that out so it's all on one line. Then I'm going to hit Command C and Command V to duplicate that, and I'm going to drag that down, and then I'm going to change that to say book club at the bottom. So our text is reading spooky reading book club. I might size down our image just a little bit, and then I'm going to center it as well. Perfect. And then I want to find a font that has this kind of spooky Halloween feel to it. So I'm going to come over here to our type menu, and I'm actually just going to type in Halloween into the menu and see what comes up. And it brings up all of these great kind of creepy options. So I like to kind of scroll through and see what works. Oh, I quite like this one, Anthurium. Let's see what else. Baby World, let's see that. That's kind of cute too. That one's quite nice as well. Some really great options Kittl has come up with in this category. But I think I quite liked that first one we looked at, which was called, what was it called? Anthurium. I'm probably saying that wrong. Yeah, I quite like that. So I'm going to change the bottom text to be that as well. Perfect. And then I'm going to size up this text quite a bit here and center it again. Actually, I think I could make this even bigger and center it. And then I want it to kind of arch around our image a little bit. So I'm going to come down here to the transformation menu, and let's see if we click arch I think that's kind of nice. Let's see if we make the arch a bit more intense. I like that, but sometimes I like using the circle option as an arch as well. I don't know, sometimes just visually that works a little bit better for me. So I'm going to drag out the bottom of this circle to make the arch less intense. And then I'm going to drag that down a little bit. It's okay if it's overlapping with some of our image. In fact, sometimes I really like that, but we just want to make sure everything's legible. So I think in this case, we don't really want it much overlapping. So that's looking pretty cute. And then I'm going to size up our book club text at the bottom as well. And sometimes it's a good idea to match the size of the text if you're doing top and bottom text. Other times it's nice to have one a little larger than the other just to make it look more cohesive spatially. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. I don't mind that the book club part is in a much larger size of text here. But I do think I want to size up our top text a little bit as well. And then I'm going to center that. I'm going to click on the text at the bottom to make sure that's centered as well. I think that looks pretty cool. So we could keep the text black. I don't hate that, but we could also change it maybe to be something more in this sort of purple family. Let's see if we did it something like a dark purple, maybe something like a really more bright purple. Maybe even more of an orange color. Let's try that out so it kind of matches the pumpkins. And we can even directly match the color of the pumpkins by clicking on our eyedropper tool and then clicking somewhere on the pumpkins for an orange that we want to emulate. I think that's nice, but maybe making a bit more intense of an orange. I quite like that actually. Yeah, I think that looks nice. So then I'll change the bottom text to match that as well. And you want to consider too that some of these images are going to look better on a dark colored t-shirt or background, and some are going to look better on a light colored t-shirt or background. Because our original image here is quite dark, this is going to be likely used by someone, one of our customers, to print on a light colored t-shirt or something like that. So that means we want to keep that in mind when we're choosing the color of our text as well, making sure that's a bit of a darker color as well. Whereas if our original image was quite light, we might want to do a light color for the text as well so that they could print it on a light colored t-shirt and have it work nicely. So I think that's looking pretty good. I'm thinking maybe the legibility of the book club at the bottom is getting a little tough, so I might just drag that down a little bit so it's just kind of almost just barely overlapping with the kind of purple clouds at the bottom. And I think that looks pretty great. What I'll do now is I'm going to select all of the elements here, and then I'm going to group them by coming up here to the ellipses here and hitting group. And then I'm just going to size this up so it fills up most of our document here, or artboard here. And then I'm going to hit center for horizontal and vertical centering here. So when we sell it to our customer, it's nicely centered within the document. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's quite a nice little PNG we've created that someone can use to make their own spooky Halloween t-shirts. Now let's create another PNG design that is just an image without text this time. So to do that, I'm going to come down here to artboard and click on that. And then I'm going to drag out a new artboard here. I'm going to change the dimensions to match our first one, which was 4,500 by 5,000 pixels. There we go. I'm going to remove the background on that. So I'm going to come over to our layers menu, click on artboard 2 and the eye icon on the background layer. There we have a nice transparent background to work with. And now I'm going to come back over to our AI menu. And I think this time we'll change things up a little bit. Let's choose a different style than the detailed drawing style. So click on styles, and we want to be in the clip art menu still, but we want to, let's have a scroll through and see what is on option here. I think I still want to be using DALL-E 3 as our AI generator, and let's try watercolor this time. And then I'm going to change our prompt. I want to create a kind of boho floral pumpkin design. So I'm just going to type in a prompt for that. Okay, so I've typed in a pumpkin with tall flowers around it, vintage boho illustration aesthetic, soft autumnal color palette, white background. And again, we've chosen the watercolor design style this time. And so I'm just going to hit generate image. Okay, let's have a look at what Kittl has come up with here. Let's size this up a bit. I think that's quite nice. I think it's maybe a little less interest going on here than I would like. Let's just remove the background and see how we're feeling about that. I think it's nice. I think, again, there could be some more stuff going on here. So let's try this again and see. I might change the prompt up a little bit and see what we can come up with. Okay, so I've changed up the prompt a little bit. I said a pumpkin with a coquette bow on its stem with tall flowers around it, etc. So let's see what Kittl comes up with for that. Okay, I think this one's a little cuter actually. And we're playing into that coquette bow theme here as well, a trend that is still happening. Yeah, I like this one quite a bit better. So let's hit remove background on this. Lovely. Yeah, I think that's quite pretty and just a little more interesting than that first one, in my opinion. This first one is perfectly usable as well, but I just think this one has a little bit more appeal to it. And I've just sized it up a little bit. I'm going to center it. And just like that, we have a really pretty autumnal Halloween fall themed PNG design, this time with no text. And as you can see with the watercolor design style, you do get these little specks around sometimes. Sometimes there's drips, sometimes there's specks, and they can be quite nice. In fact, I think in this particular image, it works quite well actually. But say you wanted to remove some of those dots or drips, we can do that quite easily in Kittl. So we just click on the design itself, and then we can come up here to this eraser. And then this highlights just the design here. And then you can go in and say, what if I wanted to get rid of this one at the very bottom? What about maybe this one as well? Let's see. Maybe just that one too. But you get the idea. And then you hit done. And it has taken those elements right out of the image quite easily. I think I like leaving some of these in for this particular image, but so there you go. You have two different styles of PNG, one with some text in it, one just with the image. And now that we're happy with those, what you would do is come up to the export option or button here, click on that. Choose the artboards that you want to export. Make sure again that we're at 300 dpi. Make sure that we're choosing a PNG, and then you would hit remove background and optimize quality because we want the highest quality exports to send to our customers on Etsy. And then you would hit download, and there you have some really high quality PNG designs to sell. And I am planning on doing another video or a couple videos on how to then upload these to Etsy, how to create some really nice mock-ups, how to deliver the files to your customer in a couple of different ways. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, please do let me know in the comments. So hopefully now you have a good understanding of how to make your own PNG designs to sell on Etsy. As we learned in my last video, there's still lots of room for success in this arena if you are creative and work to stay on top of trends and ideas that are in demand. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, as well as any other ideas for upcoming tutorials that you'd like to see. And if you haven't watched it yet, check out this video where we dissect what makes these new Etsy PNG shops so successful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.